everyone, we are jumping straight into the voiceover today because I totally forgot about recording an intro. Off to a great start, aren't we? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed those little snippets from one of our daily walks last week. It's so nice to hear the crunch of leaves underfoot at this time of year, and just knowing that Thanksgiving turkey and Christmas are right around the corner. We actually just had our first frost as of this morning, and it was such a welcome sight because hopefully it means that's the end of those random, gross, humid days we've been getting here lately. So moving on to today's video, we are taking a break this week from illustrations to spend some chill out time in our sketchbook. It has been a week, y'all, and I almost didn't get a video filmed, but I didn't want to leave y'all hanging, so I decided to take the pressure off myself and do something relatively quick and simple, that way we all win. As you know, I recently changed the channel name to Ghostly Goat Illustrations, and as a result, I've been wanting to create sort of a channel mascot to go with it. I decided to at least start working on that today, and while by no means is this his final form, it is a basis to build off of for coming up with this character. I don't think I've drawn goats in a good little bit, so to start off the spread, I just wanted to get a refresher on goat anatomy with some quick rough sketches. I knew a long time ago that I wanted to make this character based off a Dutch landrace goat, which is a breed that has long hair, but since you can't see the goat's anatomy under all that fur, I went with some short-haired breeds for these initial warm-ups, and boy did I need them. I've actually been drawing quite a bit this weekend, but when I started the spread, it almost felt like I haven't drawn in weeks. You can see a little ghosting of the pages before this one where I was working on other spreads and actually did a bit of filming prior to this, but y'all, I just could not get my head in the game these past few days. It's been one of those weeks where I wasn't happy with anything I was making, and it's been pretty frustrating, but hey, it happens. I don't know if any of y'all can relate, but if I have anything planned on my days off, like an appointment or some other obligation, it's literally all I can think about until the actual appointment or whatever arrives. Even if it's days away, for some reason, my brain is just like, welp, we have an appointment, I guess we don't have time for anything else while we wait. So I usually try and schedule things early on in my days off for that reason, but this weekend I just had too much going on and couldn't make that happen, so I basically just spent the whole time waiting for those obligations to come around. So yeah, that made doing any art feel almost impossible because I absolutely could not focus. I wish I could give my brain a stern talking to and find a workaround for this, but for now, it is what it is and I just have to live with it, I guess. As for those unfinished spreads, I'm planning on working on them off camera at some point, just so there's not blank pages whenever we finish this sketchbook and do our final tour of it. But yeah, that's a long way off, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll get to it when we get to it. For now, goats. I think it was at this point that I started trying to see how I could stylize a goat. Lately, as far as stylization, I've been flip-flopping between wanting to pursue something really angular with lots of straight lines and something more organic and flowy. By the end of the spread, I believe I decided to go with something more flowy leaning for this character in particular because he has so much fur, but honestly, I'm super tempted to try and hone both styles. I'm honestly of the belief that you do not have to restrict yourself to one style if you don't want to, and I definitely don't want to. I really want to try and experiment and develop multiple styles just to have something to work with depending on what kind of mood I'm in and what kind of mood I want for a particular piece. But yeah, I wanted to line this sketch with ballpoint pen just to try and find the shapes that I wanted to push for this style, and like right when I went for it, this blob of ink just spilled out, and y'all, I almost quit right there. I was so annoyed, but I kept going and worked around it. This is one thing I don't like about traditional media, is that there are more technical difficulties, so to speak, than there are with digital media, especially for me because I tend to not pay attention when stuff can potentially get messy, and I end up smearing or dropping something accidentally with almost every piece I create. So yeah, can we get an undo button for traditional media? Can someone invent like a 2-second time rewind, please? I don't feel like that's a lot to ask on behalf of all traditional artists. Seriously though, looking back on this sketch now, I actually don't think it turned out too bad in spite of the mishap. I like the angular simplified shapes, and I'm really glad I chose a long-haired goat breed for this because it's going to be so much fun in the future drawing all those chunks of fur. And for the next page, I decided to go ahead and start focusing on the actual character. I could have done more studies, honestly, but I didn't want to risk running out of room on the spread to actually draw our ghostly goat. So on this page is where I really started trying to get less detailed and more stylized and try to figure out a design for this guy. Now he is supposed to be relatively simple, but anyways, another choice I had to make along the way was what kind of vibe I wanted him to give off. I started off with something more friendly, then at the bottom of the page I tried something more menacing, and in the end I decided that the more friendly, whimsical vibe is the right one for this character. Also, side note, it's kind of ironic that I picked a goat for this because, y'all, I do not like drawing horns or antlers. They are not one of my strengths, just to be real with y'all. I guess this will force me to practice them, but yeah, I just have a lot of trouble with the perspective when it comes to horns. One thing that is helpful though is that while digging through references, I noticed that horns tend to not be perfectly symmetrical, so that eases my mind a little bit because I definitely did not make these at all symmetrical. Just another thing to add to my practice list, I guess. Here is where I decided for sure to make this guy more of the friendly sort. Since that's going to be a huge deciding factor in how I draw him in the future, I'm glad I got that ironed out. As far as his actual coloration, I'm not really sure where to go with that. Of course, I want to incorporate pale blues into whatever I decide, but at this point I don't know if I want him to be a solid color or have some sort of pattern. I feel like he needs some kind of unique characteristic to make him not so bland other than being, you know, a ghost. Maybe a unique marking or some kind of simple accessory. I do eventually want to play with maybe animating something simple of this guy, so I'm aiming to keep his design as simple as possible while still having some kind of thing to identify him as an individual. I, or we, are also going to need to come up with a name for him, I think, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave those down below. wrapping this up, I think I made a good bit of progress coming up with a design for this guy. He is subject to change in the future, of course, as I play with some possibilities for defining traits for him, as well as trying to draw him in different styles to see what really suits him best. I hope you guys didn't mind the more laid-back, simple art for this video, and that you enjoyed watching as I worked on creating our new channel mascot. Hopefully we'll see more of him in the future, especially since I really need to change out the channel's banner to match the name change. Anywho, don't forget to leave a like and a comment and subscribe for more if you haven't already. And since the dogs didn't make an appearance in this week's intro like they usually do, instead of a static image for this week's outro, I'm going to leave you all with a little clip of Achilles working very hard to make himself a blanket nest to brighten your day. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you all in the next one. Going. We've been building this nest for a minute.